It's been quite some time since the Disgaea franchise from NIS has been on a Nintendo console. The only time I ever saw that was on the DS with Disgaea DS. Basically an enhanced version of the PSP remake of the first game of the series. But given that the PS Vita has been dubbed not capable of handling Disgaea 5 that released on the PS4, NIS America decided to port it over to the Nintendo Switch instead. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Here is my review of Disgaea 5 Complete. The plot of Disgaea 5 takes place in a time where an overlord is trying to overthrow all other overlords, taking over their territory and forcing all of their citizens to become part of his army known as the Lost. The main characters are a female overlord named Seraphina and a wandering warrior named Kilia, whom Seraphina has abducted and decided is her future husband. As they travel, they begin fighting off this lost army, gaining allies along the way, and end up forming a rebel army to overthrow this overlord. Now the game's got your normal, typical Disgaea storyline stuff. The overplot is serious and you've got a bunch of comedy to back it up. But you don't actually get to know the serious tone of the story or the main point of the story at all until you're about 10 or 15 hours into the game. You gain all these allies and even the two main characters. You know they all have grudges against this overlord, but they won't tell each other what their grudges are. They won't tell the player. So everyone, including you, is really in the dark until you hit that 10 to 15 hour point. The story starts slow. Once you get there, it gets really good, but you have to wait that 10 to 15 hours, a good third of the entire game, to actually get there. Like previous games of the series, Disgaea 5 Complete is a turn-based tactical strategy RPG, but it's also an enhanced edition of Disgaea 5 from the PS4. As such, what's different between Disgaea 5 PS4 and Disgaea 5 Nintendo Switch? Disgaea 5 Complete has the base game plus all DLC thrown in here. From a financial perspective, if you wanted to go digital, get the PS4 game with all DLC, that would cost you around $100. If you wanted to go retail, go on Amazon US, buy Disgaea 5 PS4 for $42, and then buy the $34 season pass, and that's still around $75. Or pay $59.99 for the Nintendo Switch edition that comes with all DLC. Even after all this time, it's cheaper to get the Nintendo Switch for the amount of content you're getting, plus the added portability. Another interesting aspect is that NIS America did not remove the PlayStation trophies from this version of the game. Although the Nintendo Switch does not have its own achievement and trophy system, Disgaea 5 Complete does. Whenever you would unlock a trophy in the PS4 version, you have an identical PS4 trophy pop up on your screen, and there's an extra character in the hub world that manages all of those trophies. Now as far as the progression flow, nothing's really changed that much. You have your hub world, you go through stages, and once you get through all the stages for a chapter, you clear the story of that chapter, go on to the next chapter, and the process repeats. This is pretty much the same as it was in previous games, but there are some story sections where you have to actually wander through the hub world and trigger some cutscenes before you can actually go forward with the story. Now when you're in a stage, combat is very familiar if you're familiar with the series. You spawn on a grid-based map. Each turn you can move your entire team of characters according to their move capabilities, set up attacks, and execute those attacks. Then the enemy team does the same, and you go back and forth until either all of your characters are wiped out or all of the enemy characters are wiped out and you clear the stage. The main new system to combat is called the overdrive gauge. After you're fighting for a while, after each specific character has taken so much damage, they will automatically go into a mode called overdrive. When they go into overdrive, they gain access to a specific ability. Each character and each class's ability is different. One character might have a very wide range, massive damage attack to enemies, while another might have a massive attack that doesn't damage enemies but rather has a chance of capturing them, removing them from the stage, and taking them back to base with you so you can interrogate them. But that's pretty much the only new system I've seen since playing Disgaea 4 on the PlayStation Vita. Now the difficulty gauge is pretty high. NIS America and Disgaea games are known for having pretty decent difficulty, but Disgaea 5 is probably the hardest Disgaea game I've played so far. Outside of the overdrive gauge, the first half of the game or so has a bunch of huge, massive difficulty spikes. Granted, in the second half of the game, you gain access to equipment and skills that make it significantly easier. But in the first half of the game, there are a ton of difficulty spikes. And even if you access that DLC from Chapter 1 and recruit characters like Girl Laharl and NISA from the Neptunia franchise, their overpowered nature will only last so far. By the time you get to Chapter 4, Chapter 5, they won't be overpowered anymore. It's a difficult game. Now, as far as length goes, I would put an average play of Disgaea 5 around 40 to 50 hours. I spent around 10-12 hours on the first 4 chapters of the story, and by the time I had cleared all 16 chapters, I had logged almost 50 hours. Aside from this, you've also got all of your DLC scenarios and all of the post-game to go through. It's going to be a very, very long game if you go from start to finish. Now, performance is identical to the PS4 version. Visually, the game looks just as flawless as it does on the PS4, whether you're in TV mode or handheld mode. The load times are almost instantaneous, aside from story cutscenes. And really, no performance problems at all. No frame rate drops, no freezing, no crashing. I encountered no problems from start to finish. It's optimized extremely well. Now let's talk about battery life. Disgaea 5 is a 2D game, and despite being a PS4 game that is allegedly too powerful for the PlayStation Vita to handle, you're going to get a lot of battery life out of it. Here are the times I got from 100% to 0%. With maximum brightness and the Wi-Fi on, 5 hours. Maximum brightness with the Wi-Fi off, 5 hours and 16 minutes. Low brightness with the Wi-Fi on, 6 hours and 48 minutes. Low brightness with the Wi-Fi off, 6 hours and 57 minutes. No matter what your settings are, you're going to get at least 5 hours of battery life out of Disgaea 5 Complete. And if you have low settings, you're going to get almost 7. That is huge. Only a single other Nintendo Switch game that I've played has exceeded that, which was Kamiko. In conclusion, Disgaea 5 Complete is everything it was on the PS4 with the added portability to bring it off the TV and on the go. Though the story does start off slow, the game's optimization, the familiar gameplay, the fact that you're getting more bang for your buck compared to the PS4, and the pleasing visuals really make this a 40 to 50 hour journey that any Japanese RPG or strategy RPG fan will love to have on their Switch. Reviews to Go rates Disgaea 5 Complete a 9 out of 10. If you'd like to discuss this further, feel free to comment below or head to the website at www.reviewstogo.com.